Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, and tell a friend. Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. Damn. So, what do you guys think the state of our community is, our culture is right now? If you had to grade it from A to F, Jim,
Say it one more time.
state of the culture, black culture, as it stands, what would you grade it from A to F?
Probably like a D.
C.
Yeah.
C? What you think?
Yeah, I'd say a D.
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 Callie,
Yeah.
Mm, I'll give it a C minus.
Rilla,
Yeah, no, it's a D minus borderline F, fam.
ask Abe,
A.
Mr. Payne.
F minus.
Damn.
F
Ro,
minus. It's dire straits.
C minus.
Sharif.
Truancy.
When
That
you
nigga
go
ain't
to
even
school.
going to school.
Damn.
No, I'm just playing. D.
Yana,
Not gonna lie, I did not hear the question.
what if you
Put
had
her
to
in the
grade our
bathroom.
if you have to grade our culture right now, what would you grade us from A to F?
I'm giving us the E.
Damn. So you saying below F, huh? Or does it
Below.
mean excellent? Okay.
Nah. E for
Yeah.
effort.
For effort.
E for effort.
Okay. So let's talk about it then. Again, from the generation standpoint.
I
What
think my
gener
generation as a whole, we're failing altogether. Like, I
well,
mean,
my question is what
yeah.
generation started to decline?
Ooh. I'm
What's a
not gonna
better
lie.
what's a better question? What generation started to decline or damn near destroyed it?
I'll say that Generation X started the decline because
Mhm.
that's like when my parents started. Not talking about my parents, but they ain't the best, my boy. Y'all, they created me. So if I'm like
Wow.
this,
Wow.
my little brother is the way that he is, and my sister is the way that she is. If us three are just like that, I can't imagine what the rest of them are like. Just
Jesus
saying.
Christ. Okay.
I mean, I'm not bad or nothing, but like best.
Damn. Okay, so you saying they messed the culture up, Gen X.
The Gen X day, because I don't want to say it was just the women, but like the women, I don't know what happened or what started to happen, but like that's what I feel like that's when the mental health check should have started. Because if they would have checked in with them mentally, they would have been able to check in with us mentally and a lot better. Because just being there isn't enough.
Damn. Go ahead, Ro.
I agree. And I just said, the boomers, like I said, left us out there as crash dummies. I use that as an analogy because crash dummies actually were started in the 80s for cars, like to test them out. And I believe that we were left out there to fend for ourselves, that we forgot that we needed to take care of ourselves because nobody taught us to do it.
Okay. So
I feel like that's
who
when the hyper independency started, like the I
She's
don't need
right.
a man and I can do
She's
it
right.
myself and all that good stuff.
She's
I feel like
absolutely
that's where it started. So that's why I'll say that the generation started to decline. They set us up for failure.
right.
so so you agree that Gen Z is responsible for the current state of the culture? I mean Gen
Yes.
X?
Yes.
No, I'm saying, Ro, you agree with that?
I
Oh.
agree with that.
Okay. Okay.
Of
Okay.
course, not individually, because some of us, got the work, did the work, got the counseling. So we're not doing it for the next generation of
You know I
kids.
don't play the sum game.
Exactly. So as a whole,
Right.
yes, I agree.
Fake.
The majority, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Really, what you think?
Yeah, no, listen, I've been on my whole campaign with Generation X effed up, man.
Damn.
This is one of the ones where we got to hold that L. I'm going to tell you why. So, Jim
Hmm.
talked about earlier how, the next generation is supposed to benefit from your hard work and sacrifice, right? Now, here's the thing. We were so busy working to give our kids what we didn't have We didn't give them the lessons and the wisdom and insight to teach them how to get it and how to maintain it. Remember my era, I remember seeing people going to buy baby Jordans just so they can, when they had their baby and their baby grew out of them, they could hang them on the rearview mirror for a little trinket or whatever, right? And this is how misplaced we were. You know what I'm saying? Financial, everything. So to Rose's point, yeah, there were a few of us that made it out, but also we were the ones who were taught, go to school, get a job, raise a family. So what we do, go to school, get a job, move to the suburbs, never come back to the hood. You don't bring none of that insight, wisdom, and resources back. And then again, we're living with the results of those decisions. We're seeing that play out in front of us. So yeah, this is one of them times where I say Generation X got to hold that L.
Damn. Okay. So ask
And then
Abe. You go ahead, Kelly. You want
I was
to
gonna say, and
piggyback?
then as far as like the music or whatever, as far as gangster rap. Although we did have different genres of music that was going on, we had the gangster rap, we had the feel good music, we had the dance music, all that kind of stuff. The gangster music took over, and then now the generations behind us are trying to imitate what we were actually, what I'm saying, rapping about. So the line became blurred between what is actually really happening on the streets versus what people are just rapping about as far as just lyrics. That line got blurred, and now I think that the life is trying to imitate the art now.
It's actually doing its thing, because now you have rappers openly rapping about killing each other and the rappers' brothers and stuff, and you have YouTubers making videos about it and getting monetized off of it. So the ignorance is promoted.
Is that new though?
No, definitely not. Shout out to DJ. Never mind. Y'all
Well,
know.
no,
Y'all
just-
know who he
Yeah,
is.
don't get that clown. No oxygen.
Yeah, that's a joke I do. Yeah, y'all know who he is. Small hat dude.
I don't. Yeah, I don't. So yeah, because I know Hit 'Em Up. Really, are there any other songs that was that like No Vaseline felt like more of a joke? Like
No. What Callie talking about, Hamp, you had like Spice One, you
yeah.
had Compton's
Oh,
Most
okay.
Wanted. But here's the thing, this is where I give a little bit of pushback though, Callie, because that gangster rap was what really happened was like, especially in Chicago, when you got wind of an NWA or what was going on in LA, it's like, oh, that's what's going on out there. Like, and it gave you insight and visibility into what was going on in other people's neighborhood. And again, this is where I say music is our way of communicating. You wouldn't know what's going on in Atlanta if they wasn't rapping about it. You wouldn't know what Luke and them was doing, and that was their real culture. So in the early days, it wasn't people like faking the front or putting on a facade. They was either rapping about what they seen or what they did and what they knew. Easy E was really that dude. You see what I'm
Yeah, I
saying?
know. Well, that's what I was saying. Like
But
after
once
the
you get
fact.
corporate involved, this is why, like, once you get corporate, the music business is gonna do what it do. Q-Tip told y'all, you know what I'm saying? Rule number 4080: record company people are shady. Period. Point blank. Innocent. So once you get corporate interest involved, then that's when you get to promote the heavy oversaturation of one particular type of music that we hear on radio to this day.
Right. Well, that's why I was saying that after the fact, it turned into life imitating the art instead of the art actually just being, just straight up reporters.
So in 2024, it looks like King Von, FBG Duck, and what's that dude in Atlanta that's getting tried right now that made the lifestyle song? Young
You
Thug.
talking about
Yeah.
Thug or Lucci?
Yeah, both of them.
So here's the thing. I don't want to make this a whole music thing, but with Vaughn and them, they really was rapping about what's going on here. The crazy thing, most people that you meet from Chicago, it's like y'all really are fascinated what's going on that one block. It's 63rd and King Drive. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's y'all really that fascinated with what's going on? It's Parkway Gardens. It's like row houses, and it's not that big a deal to us. It's like, oh, that's just them little homies over there beefing with each other over whatever they beefing over, right? Now some of these other cats, I can't think of the young blood name who homie got popped when he was in LA, and then he renounced his quote unquote set. One of the Lils, right?
I know who you're talking about though.
What's the overarching? What's the overarching?
The
though?
overarching point is that some of these cats really are rapping their real life. That's my point. You do have though like a lot of other cats that are rapping a facade, like they really Theo Huxtable thugs.
Okay, so
You know
you
what I'm
just
saying?
talking to Callie Bev in terms of the art imitation, like back and
Yeah,
forth.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, well,
But
but
I
she
landed
said,
there.
but no, but I think I heard her when she's saying the rappers for you guys' generation were rapping, but there were people out there doing it in the street, but the artists weren't so much involved, right? But I think
It's flipped.
now the artists are. She's saying that now people are doing what they rapped about, and really just saying the rappers also do what they rap about,
Well,
maybe even more
So the
so.
rappers from
my bad. I was
Generation
responding
X
to
were
Jerice in
rapping.
particular, though. That's
Okay.
all.
Generation X rappers were rapping about their former lives. Okay.
Yeah.
They're
Big
rapping
difference.
about what they used to do. They weren't actually out there doing it. I mean, we can go all the way up to
I
I,
don't want to
T.I.
talk
and
about the
them.
rappers no more.
I feel like our generation to make a song about how they just hit a lick and made a play and all this good stuff and then go do it. It's like you just gave them your plan, dude.
They'll
Like
tell them
Self
they so.
snitching.
they snitch on themselves and then go do it.
So yeah, the culture.
But who did they get the platform from though? You feel me? Like I think like that just goes to show like the example that was before us. Like that's what we were seeing. So I mean, the rappers now we rapping. You feel me? We rapping about what we doing. That's what we thought y'all was doing. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I
But bring
think that.
it back. So let's bring it back to the question though. What generation is responsible for the state of the culture today? Most. I mean, everybody has a hand in it, right? But in terms
Yeah.
of having the most percentage points.
That's what we're
X.
saying. X. That's why
X.
even when it
X.
comes to the culture being heavily impacted by music and stuff, like you can call it oversaturation, but in reality, I mean, a lot of that really was just going on. So I mean, yeah, it was personified by the industry, but at the end of the day, I feel like, I mean, we know what's going on in our communities. You can look outside for the most part.
Word. Now let's ask Ave. You
Yep,
said you give us an A.
I
Okay.
do.
Who's responsible? How do you qualify the A, and then who's responsible for us being an A today?
Okay, because you said in our culture, right? What do I give our culture?
Yeah.
And I give us an A because, I just don't see us as being wrong. I mean, we're living out a life that where nothing was handed to us. We've come through struggles that no other culture has, and we're still moving. And every generation is you're just responsible for your own self. And that's the way that I tell my kids to live. Like you're responsible for yourself. They make a choice to be good or bad. All you can have 5 children and they all act differently, and you raise them all the same. So everyone's responsible for themselves, including the generation. And I see no wrong in Black folk. Like we
So you're
good.
saying so? Did, did you tune into the show yesterday?
Um, yes.
So all those factors, we were largely sitting at the bottom of a totem pole, versus other races of people and cultures of people. So because you are measured versus your counterparts, so how do you give us an A if we lead in some of the in the majority of the worst categories in the
Because I
U.S.?
don't believe we're sitting at the bottom of the totem pole. I
Okay.
believe a lot of that is just propaganda. Um, who's making the stats? You have to take that into account. I, for one, have never filled out a stat. So I've never filled out a survey. I don't fill out the census right because I
Hmm.
got 15 kids. It just, so that's how I think a lot of other people think. So you can't take that stuff. You have to take it with a grain of salt.
Are
These
they prop?
surveys
Are
and
they?
stats that you
Are,
guys often cite.
okay. Are they propagating? You think the body's dropping?
Do I think what?
That's propaganda. Like, are we really shooting and doing each other like they say?
No, I think a lot of it is sometimes white people put on blackface and go in those communities and shoot.
Okay.
Wow.
Um,
I
and
heard
then what about the the abortion stats and things of that nature, you think those are propped up?
Yes, I think especially the abortion, because they say that we have all these children and we continue to have children, but yet and still they say we keep having all the abortions. So which ones is it? Make sense?
You're saying that we have the most kids, but then we also have the most abortions, so it's
Yes,
contradictory.
yes.
Okay. What about the
Wait, Gen X as
homeless?
a generation has the most kids?
No, no, just people. She's saying she said we're A plus in terms of
Oh,
black culture. So she
oh.
pushing against the statistics that are out there. What about the homeless population? You think they driving that up too?
Yes, they're driving that up because I have a home where I house the homeless, and I have four white guys in there.
Hmm.
So
Go
just
ahead.
by my anecdotal experience, and they often traipse through, and it's 90% white who I have to house.
Oh, you can. Go ahead, bro.
Miss ask, is it Ave? Sorry. What part of the country do you live in? You could just say south, east, north.
Oh, you're talking to Ask Abe?
Yes, ma'am. Ask Ave.
Oh, okay. Um, Connecticut.
Okay. So, do you know the percentage of Black people that live in Connecticut compared to the Black people that live in Maryland?
Do I know the percentage of what? My phone, I can't hardly hear. What did
The
you say?
percentage of Black people that live in Maryland compared to the Black people that live in Connecticut?
The percentage Maryland versus Connecticut?
Yes, ma'am, for Black people that's live there.
Oh, I'm thinking it's what? Is it Maryland like 99% black?
About 87%. It's a large amount.
87%? Okay.
Mhm.
And we're probably like 25, 30%.
And so I asked this question because I live outside of Baltimore. And when I see crimes being committed, they're mostly committed my news. Now, it might just be that they're just showing the Black kids committing the crime, but for the most part, that's the most of them that are committing the crime. So are you
In
saying
Maryland?
that's, yes? Are you saying
Because
that
that's
that's,
the most people you have are black, right? Wouldn't that make sense?
no, what I'm trying to say is if we see the crime and we see that the crime is being committed by most of these younger Black kids, are you saying that that is a fallacy? That is not possible?
Here's the thing. My white friends, okay, for example, my friend, she sent me a picture of her son's car. This white woman sent me a picture of her son's car tipped over. And she said, "Oh my goodness, where the police is here. You know, my son, he's gonna get in trouble. His car is tipped over." Then she sent me a text back and she's like, "Oh, he said my son's been through enough. Go home." And that's the difference. That's that white privilege that they have. The boy did wrong, but we'll never know. So just because their kids don't show up in the courthouse doesn't mean they're not doing wrong.
Well, that's what Hemp was saying. Yesterday's show, we actually looked at governmental stats, looking at how many are committing certain crimes, what type of crimes, and at the rate compared to the counterparts. We looked at the marriage stats. How many of us are getting married? How many of us are marrying each other? All of those stats were important because the only thing that we showed high up on was Hemp. I think it was our Black fathers involved, and what was the other thing, Hemp? And
Um,
and murders, right, or deleting, or whatever y'all call it.
high meaning positive.
High meaning high, period, not negative
Like
or positive.
high end? What do you mean?
Wasn't it murders?
Yes, so we
we
were
had
high,
high. We had
high
high
in
murder.
murder, high in deletions, and then our Black men were high in their showing up for their children. So that's a positive and a negative. But everything else was low. Everything else, every other statistic, we either scored low, income wise, job wise. We all pretty much were on the low end of the totem pole compared to everybody else.
But let's think about this though, right? So let's say we walk this path, right, and we look at the numbers. Um, So the number that we were looking at yesterday was the murder, death, kills, right?
Right.
So there were like 8,000. We committed 52% of them, but it was like I think we committed 8,000, right? Some number that it would be negligible compared to 42 million black people, right? Right. I mean, not that I'm not dismissing people being killed, right? We don't want that to happen,
Right.
but 10,000 compared to 42 million people is a negligible number. So when we're having a conversation about how bad the culture is, we out here shooting and killing. The truth is, the overwhelming majority aren't. So how do we? So how do you guys break that down?
Can I let me take a little bit of that, right? One of the things I think we don't put the way we've been socially engineered in the context of events that's happened over the years. But just to answer your question, let's just say for the 10,000 and 42 million, whatever, a lot of our stuff is in concentrated areas. And even though the daggone media like to focus on black crime as opposed to crime anywhere else, if you're living in those areas, you'll feel the pressure even if the numbers are not high, because in a barrel, you only need a few bad ones to make it bad for everybody else. So we got a lot of people in the neighborhoods that live in quiet lives of quiet desperation because they don't snitch. The cops are slow to come. And so even though the deletions might not be something that we got to go crazy over, it's still significant to the people they affect.
Understood, but
That's all I'm saying.
understood. But let's. I hear that. That makes sense. However, she gave us an A. So when we assess the numbers based on the volume of people, does the A have more merit when you look at the actual people involved in the crimes as compared to the entire population?
There's no way we can get an A, but listen, instead of getting to that could be her experience, but it's not correct in terms of the numbers overall. And so if we ever get to a point where we could talk about how we got here, besides like music and stuff, and just let me know so I can say it. But we can't get an A, even if the things are exaggerated. We
Okay.
can't get an A. I'll give her the exaggeration in some areas. I'll give you that. I'll concede that. But there's no way we can get an A for at all.
Okay. Well, so even when you break everything down, you're saying there's no way we can get an A, but have you ever thought about the volume of people doing the crime compared to the number of people that are of the same culture, those people doing the
Yes.
crime?
Yes.
So is a presupposition to not give us an A? But have we actually assessed everything in terms of where we stand if it's numbers based?
And when we say everything, okay, we've assessed enough. We have enough examples to know that if we were living in a utopian society, what we're living from the class issue down to where the people are in the inner cities, we know it's not utopian. We know it's not an A. I mean, there's enough. We don't want to have our head in the sand, even though somebody can have anecdotal experience that looks good to them. And even if there's propaganda, which we know there is, but if you look at our marriage stats, if you believe that family is the cornerstone of the future, and we're down to 30% and going lower, that takes away an A right there. We got this quote unquote. I'm gonna end here. We got this quote unquote gender war we talk about all the time. Is that real or is that imaginary? I don't know. My daughter is a millennial. I got a millennial and a Gen Z kid. And I talk to them. They're grown now, and it's not just the YouTube streets that's saying it; they're living it.
Okay.
So
Do you think white people give? What do you think they give themselves?
one thing white people do, sis, is this: they know how to eliminate the riffraff. They don't have, white people don't hang out with what they call white trash. They don't make them part of their culture. Well, hold on for a second, but that's not what we do. Sexy Red is the black woman's person around the world.
Why do you keep saying that? I don't think my black man can
she's a
say that.
representative. I'm just using her as a metaphor. The ratchet people are the ones that they project around the world, and men too. So, and white people put a stop to that. They are very meticulous on what they show. I mean, they just are, because they control the media.
Making my point.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that we get an A. You know
But
what
you
I'm saying?
made, but you literally just made her point though.
But that doesn't mean we get an A. I
I
agree with
know.
her point about the propaganda, but that doesn't
Okay.
mean our reality
But so,
is
Mr.
was an A.
Payne, you haven't shot down the reason for not an A good enough. So if I was listening to this and you guys were having a debate, I don't know how well you would be doing. You mentioned anecdotal.
That's right.
10,000 people compared to 42 million people sounds like an anecdote to me.
If you're just talking about deletions, that's not the only problem we have.
That's what we're talking about. We're talking
No,
about
no, no,
violent
no.
crime.
But that's not the only basis she gave us an A on. You know, she gave us an AO across the gamut of things. I'm saying
Mhm.
that's one thing. Hey, but how about the abortion issue? Is a serious issue. In '73, when abortion
Yeah.
started, we were
Mhm.
13% of the population. Here we
Yeah.
are 50 years later, and we're still 13% of the population. So, and even though, and here's the answer to this: if we're leading in babies and leading in deletions, how can that be? Because there's a class divide. The poorest of us have their kids. The richest, the people who think they have a future, and they the ones deleting them in groves. So the point is, we can answer all those things. I didn't want to turn this into like me slash and smash people. And when the Moynihan thing came out, Gen Zs were babies, but the bulk of their parents were from the silent generation. And once they started giving welfare and stuff like that, and taking the man out of the house, that propagated certain things, right?
Okay.
And it wasn't the Gen X's problem, but what the Gen Xers did, and I'm gonna end it here. When they wanted their kids to have a better life, disease, what they did was they added not only better life, they added easier life, and that was the mistake. That part was a mistake. Everybody wants their kids to have a better life, but when you take away the pressure, you take away the things that make you strong. They started taking bullying out of the schools and all that shit, and started giving what you call those kind of trophies, those
Participation.
participation
Patient
trophies.
awards.
I mean, there's a lot of compendium of stuff that doesn't give us. If we start saying to us, I don't want to be negative, Nelly, because I hear where the sisters come from. If we start saying we're A, we're going to be a completely delusion.
Okay.
Complete delusion.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
not here to say you're delusion. I just don't agree. I just don't agree with
Yeah.
that.
No,
So we got a
I hear you.
boomer fight going on.
I hear
But
you. I gotta ask clarifying question. I think that's how we get clear in terms of the facts. There was one thing you mentioned about class divide
yeah,
that seemed contradictory with an earlier point, but I think I actually know what you're trying to say there.
okay.
Because
Tell me so I can learn.
you did say we don't separate like white people do, but then the class divide is the reason for the abortions, which would assume separation. So that's
That's
a little
not.
bit, yeah.
No, you misunderstood what I said.
No, no,
I
I
might.
think I know what you meant, but if somebody was listening to it, what would they how would they what would they take away? That's why I said I qualified it, but I think I understand what you're saying. We don't disparage the riffraff, right? We
No,
wear shirts that say free whoever that went to jail, right? And that's why we don't separate ourselves from the lowest portion. So I know what you're saying, but just
that's what
listen
I'm
to
saying.
what you said. Yeah, I
Well,
know, I
no,
got you.
I'm thinking that the people that are wearing the t-shirts are in the same class as the people that are on the t-shirts. That's the same class.
They are.
Okay.
Really?
That's good.
When
Yeah, they
50
are.
Cent had the free Yayo shirt on, he's in the same class at that juncture.
What you talking about? That's the hood that he from. It don't matter because he got a rap career and he got money now. That don't mean nothing. But that's still
How do you
his hood. That's
how do you
that's the that's
qualify?
the class that he grew up in.
How do you qualify class though? Right? Can you move out of your class? Or are you saying you're always in the class you're born in, no matter what?
Hey, you can move out the hood, but the hood's still gonna be in you.
Yeah,
But the
like-minded people.
okay, but you understand class is a different determination. You saying if he still identifies, that's one thing. But if he has money, he doesn't live there, he's not in that class.
But that's still like a it wasn't that like a childhood friend or something. I don't know all about 50 Cent's all extra history with them people and everything like that. But typically outside of celebrities and everything like that, the people that are wearing the t-shirts are in the same class as the people that are on the t-shirts.
Okay,
Makes sense.
makes sense. See, I want to go down that road that asked Abe. I ain't gonna lie. I want to dive into it some more, but I want to be fair if everybody want to answer the question in terms of what generation is most responsible for the state of the culture. You gave us a D, right?